So, Avengers Endgame has come out a few weeks ago, and after watching it and letting it settle in my head, it refuses to leave. It was such a fantastically done movie that I am convinced that I will never be able to experience the emotions I did in a movie theater ever again. It was that good. To start things off, the CGI is as good as always. Infinity War blew things away, and this movie continues that trend. Everything on screen is insane, it's believable, and it's constantly fun. The visuals, especially a few shots at the ending, are phenomenal. They really go all out with this movie and with just how much content they're able to fit on the screen all at once. The writing is also very good. A lot of people felt that the first hour of the movie was too slow or it just didn't move fast enough and that it was filler, and I can see why people would think that, but I'm also a sucker for strong character writing, which this movie packs to the brim. Just so you know who you're talking to, I'm the kind of person who rewatches Age of Ultron just for the farm scene. That's how much I like seeing these characters interact. Just like Infinity War, the cast is sort of split up into different groups so that they don't have to try and focus on every single character at once, and it works just as great here as it did there. Characters I didn't think would get much solo screen time in this movie end up getting some as a final outing in a way I can really appreciate. Like, for example, I never really cared about Black Widow prior to this movie, but by the end of it I really enjoyed her. The only complaints in the writing department I can think of is Thanos. Now, this is where I'm going to start spoilers, so click away if you don't want any of that, because that's going to be the rest of this video. If you want my overall consensus on the movie, it's good. It's a good-ass movie. Go watch and support it. Anyways, I really like the start of the movie where they just straight up kill Thanos. It was surprising and anticlimactic in the way that it was really going for. It feels sudden and just as shocking to you as it does to the rest of the Avengers. But once Thanos is introduced during the time travel section about 2/3 of the way in, he doesn't carry that threatening presence anymore. Like, it doesn't feel like he's the same guy that we saw kill everyone we cared about in Infinity War. He's still very tough and pretty frightening, but there are points where the way he was presented in Infinity War immediately outshines how he was presented in Endgame. Now, the time traveling stuff can be very confusing and sometimes still is. Like, according to the movie's explanation of time travel, it's saying that you don't go back in time, but instead you go to another timeline, so nothing you do there will affect the future you return to. But then that rule is kind of broken and never explained when Captain America goes back in time at the end, and then still ends up as an old man in the same timeline. But the moment itself was sweet and gratifying enough for me to overlook it, but it is still a rule that it breaks itself without explaining much. I also felt Thor was kinda like, he was fine and better later on, but for a lot of the movie he feels like he was a bit of a walking joke. And I'm fine with the movies taking a more humorous tone with Thor. Like, I love Thor Ragnarok and how that version of Thor was expanded on in Infinity War. But in here, it feels like everything he's lost at that point is kind of played as a one-off joke. Him gaining weight because he let himself go after the 5-year time skip is shocking and everything, but as the movie goes on and makes more jokes about it, it kind of wears off. But by the time he gets Mjolnir back in the time travel section, it gets better in that regard anyways. And I will forever love the scene when he gets Mjolnir back. Despite losing so much and letting himself go like he did, him finding out he's still worthy and that depression and failure doesn't make you unworthy is subtly powerful and just inherently charming. I'd put a picture of him smiling at that part on the screen if it wouldn't get me banned for piracy. The final hour, however, is what really topped this entire movie off. It's been described as a nerdgasm, and even that doesn't do it justice. I've never ever clapped or whooped at a movie theater, it's just not my thing. I like being immersed in the movie, and at the most I can probably see myself clapping at the end credits if anyone else is. But the scene where Captain America lifts Mjolnir, I lost my fucking mind. Everything about the last scene has such a massive emotional payoff that it's just straight up beautiful. Like I said earlier, I will never forget the emotion I felt while everyone who was dusted came back to life and walked through Doctor Strange's portals to stand up to Thanos all at once. The music in that scene, getting to see literally every character gathering at once and lining up, and finally hearing Steve say Avengers Assemble was so gratifying that I was literally shaking the entire time. And when I saw Spider-Man again, I gave a single celebratory clap. Just once. This movie goes off the friggin' rails too. Like, there's just so much crazy shit that you probably thought, oh, that'd be cool if that happened. Just imagine every time you thought that, and imagine it actually happened. It feels like a real love letter to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm very certain that nothing this genuine will ever be done again. 22 movies, 10 or 11 years now, and all of them were fantastic at best and kind of at worst. The only movie I didn't watch from the MCU was Ant-Man and the Wasp, and all I saw was the after credit scene, and that was all I needed. The movie managed to give me a lovely and satisfying conclusion to this decade-long saga, and I loved the ride. It's sad to be getting off now, even if it's not technically over, but I just know that nothing is going to reach past the precedent that this movie has set. So go watch it, go support it, go enjoy it, and please let it beat out Avatar in the box office. I am fucking begging you guys.